Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley, and welcome to Steelers Almighty Report Card. This Pittsburgh Steelers, Lord have mercy, drop another one. This one to the Dallas Cowboys, 20-17, on a day or a night where you know, the game was delayed, bad weather. Both teams had to play in it, so let's not use that as an excuse. But the Pittsburgh Steelers absolutely did not execute on offense or defense and still had an opportunity to win the football game at the end. This time it was the defense that let them down. The Dallas Cowboys just kind of did some things that they haven't been able to do all year against the Pittsburgh Steelers on both sides of the football. They hadn't been able to stop the run. They hadn't been able to run it. They were able to do both of those things against the Steelers. This was not a good effort, man. So we're going to break this down, each position as well as coaching, let you know exactly what the grades are. But before we do, remember to continue to like, follow, subscribe, and leave those comments. Hit the notification bell so you know when all Steelers Almighty content comes out. We are still, Steelers Almighty is the fastest growing Steelers channel on YouTube. So we appreciate that. So without further ado, man, let's get into this. First things first, quarterback. Look, Justin Fields, this was his worst game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. There's no doubt. Too many times um, he held on to the football. His accuracy was all over the place. He was making easy throws difficult, and then the difficult throws he made those impossible. One of the times, look, Collinsworth pointed this out on the telecast. Darnell Washington's running with a safety, a 5'10 safety. Darnell Washington 6'7. Instead of Justin Fields just putting it up there to way, hey man, either do a back shoulder or just throw it up high, give him an opportunity, just kind of lob it up there. At worst, you're getting a pass interference penalty. The ball's going to be at the 1 yard line. Instead, Fields throws a bullet to him at about 9 feet, which he doesn't have an opportunity to catch. I'm like, come on, man. And it's that kind of stuff on why this just wasn't a good day for Justin Fields. Look, it's not all his fault. We know the play calling was horrendous. We'll get into that a little bit later, but we still have to call it for what it was. This was just not his finest day. I give Justin Fields a C minus on the day for the day. Just wasn't good enough. Having said all of that, he still gave the Steelers a chance to win because he led them down the field and they had the lead with under 5 minutes to go. So, as bad as he played, and it was pretty bad, people, it just was. He still had them with an opportunity to win, which is basically all you can do for your quarterback. And I'll be honest, without that, this grade would have been lower, but Justin Fields gets a C minus on the day. Let's go to running backs. Look, we know what Najee's limitations are. We know his vision isn't great. We know he doesn't have lateral quickness. We know that he's not a burner. He runs hard, you know, and he's a one cut type of guy. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He also can pick up blitzes. But again, it just wasn't there. And a lot of this is not on Najee. I'll be honest with you. We did the all 22. Remember to take a look at that tomorrow. When it comes out, it'll be out tomorrow for everybody to see. This was not a lot on Najee yesterday. It just wasn't. I know everybody, including myself, want to blame him for not having those things, those limitations that I mentioned previously or just a minute ago. Having said all of that, it wasn't all on him. And if you thought Najee was bad, Lord have mercy. Jonathan Ward, Aaron Shumkin, look, those guys, they shouldn't even be on an NFL roster. They shouldn't. And it's not their fault. Look, we're banged up at the wide receiver position, or excuse me, at the running back position. We're banged up. Um, it was just awful. It was awful. The Shampkin out there on third downs trying to block guys in blitz pickup. He has no business being on the field in that situation. Hell, go pick up a Dalvin Cook, from the Cowboys practice squad or something. I know he's finished, and he is finished. Don't get me wrong, but he's going to be better than that. That's all I'm saying. He's going to be better than that. I know he's not going to give you anything on special teams, which those guys do. It doesn't matter. You got to be able to get some more production out of your run game, something, just something. And those guys just aren't going to be able to provide it. We got to get Patterson. We've got to get Warren. We got to get them back. But if they're going to be out another 3 to 4 weeks, then you got to go get somebody. We can't just have the status quo at running back. Oh, we're never going to be able to do anything with this offense. We're just not going to. Wide receiver position. Excuse me. The running back position gets a D. It was just that bad. It was that bad. Look, wide receivers. I don't really know what's going on with George Pickens. Like, is he in the doghouse? I mean, there were times yesterday when he wasn't in the game. Mike Tomlin gave a lame ass excuse on why, talking about this 23-year-old wide receiver is basically we're load managing his reps so that you can get better production. That's what we're going with, Mike Tomlin. You have to load manage a 23-year-old that plays wide receiver so you can try to get better production. And then tried to say it's the same thing as Cam Hayward, a 35-year-old defensive lineman. I just, you know, you try to defend Mike Tomlin sometimes, and I get it. There's something going on there, and he doesn't want to go into it. I understand, but don't insult our intelligence, man. Just don't say anything. All you have to do is say, yeah, there was opportunities to get other guys on the field that we thought could be more productive in that situation. Period. Leave it at that. Yeah, that's going to ask more questions or answer some more questions or bring up more questions. So what? Him not being on the field is what brought up the questions to begin with. And to be quite honest, the effort, again, I'll say it again about George Pickens. That's why he's not a great receiver. He's a pretty good receiver, and that's all that he is, because the details don't matter to him. The small things don't matter to him. And you can't tell me that it does, because this is the second week in a row where he's dropping easy passes when he doesn't have to. That was that pass in the third quarter. I mean, you're dropped third and 5, an easy pitch and catch. Yeah, the ball placement wasn't great, but it was there to be caught, and you weren't going to get hit. You're just going to fall out of bounds. First down, he drops the ball. It's stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. The great ones care about the details. The other ones don't. And right now, George Pickens doesn't. And it's just as simple as that. Not to mention, there's no separation that our wide receivers get. Let's not kid ourselves. Nobody's getting separation. That includes Pat Freiermuth. Guys aren't getting open on even close to a consistent basis. It just is what it is. Our wide receiver room is just not good. We needed a wide receiver to start the season. We still need a wide receiver. It's not getting any better. They get a D for this effort. The offensive line, look, C minus. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to start with this. Zach Frazier and Isaac Siamala were fine. Isaac did get run over on a play. That was pathetic. You'll see that in the all-22. You can't get run over on a pass play. That was bad. That was bad. Having said that, he was pretty good after his first game of the season coming off that pec injury. Zach Frazier, again, was pretty good. Look, Mason McCormick, I've said it several times. He gives a ton of effort. He's an effort guy. He's strong. He gives a lot of effort, but his technique is bad. His technique is bad. And I think a lot of it, he's just out there kind of like a chicken runner with his head cut off. He's just out there trying to hit somebody. But you know what? Your technique's bad. I'll take it. I'll take the effort, I should say. If your technique is bad, again, we have Pat Meyer as the offensive line coach. I don't think he's going to be able to teach him, because I think Pat Meyer is a terrible offensive line coach. And I don't think he's going to be able to teach these guys the technique to get better. That's unfortunate, because that's where we are. But yeah, I like McCormick's effort. And if another guy that I'll mention here in a minute had his kind of effort, this line would be pretty good. It would be pretty good. But McCormick is what he is right now, man. He just is what he is. Dan Moore took a huge step back in the run game. He was good in the pass game, but in the run blocking, he took a big step back this game. He's got to be better. He's been good all year. He's been good all year. We don't need the old Dan Moore, people. Look, I know we crushed him, and we should have crushed him, but this was a bad game for him in the run game. It was bad. Pass game wasn't. It wasn't. The pass game, he was good again. But in the run game, he took a big step back. And then last but not least, Broderick Jones. Anybody out there that's that told me I didn't know football, I didn't know what I was talking about, get off of him. He's hurt, yada, yada, yada. All those people, I'll be honest. I want you to apologize. Watch Broderick Jones in this football game. He was horrible. Anybody out there that was screaming when I said, no, he's not a bust yet, and all you people out there were saying bust, it's okay if you start calling him a bust now. Yeah, yeah. It's okay if you start calling Broderick Jones a bust. Now, does that mean he has to stay a bust? No. Can he get better? Yeah. But first, he's got to want to. That's number one, because a lot of the plays in this game, it didn't even look like he cared. Didn't even look like he was interested in playing in the football game. Going the wrong way on certain snaps, just not hustling, just not doing the stuff. Again, I mentioned Mason McCormick. If he could do that and have that kind of effort, Broderick Jones would be an all-pro, because he's got the athleticism and he's got the strength. And he's mean when he wants to be mean. But it doesn't look like he cares. His technique, again, is horrible. I don't necessarily blame that on him because, again, we have an offensive line coach that's not capable of teaching, the fundamentals to be a good offensive lineman. But, yeah, anybody that wants to start saying that Broderick Jones is a bust, you can say it. You'll get no pushback from me. Again, it doesn't mean he has to stay there. But what we're watching right now, that's a bust. That's a bust. Sorry. It just is. It just is. And the offensive line, like I said, I'll give it a C minus. The grade would be lower, but Zach Frazier and Isaac Siamala were pretty good. And Mason McCormick, for his faults, he's given us the effort. He's given us the effort. So overall, as far as the offense, look, the conservative play calling again, and I knew it was going to be bad. And I know you guys knew it was going to be bad. First drive, we kick a field goal. Okay. That first drive that we scored and kicked the field goal, it's 3rd and 8, and we call a damn toss sweep. We do a pin and pull on 3rd and 8. Like 5 yards is going to make the difference in Chris Boswell. He made a 41-yard field goal. You're telling me that makes the difference? The guy that's making them regularly from 55 yards, we need to get 5 yards closer to help him. Give me a break, man. If you don't trust your quarterback, you didn't have to say it. We knew it. That told us everything we needed to know. Everything we needed to know. Unbelievable. But again, not just the conservative play calling, the horrible play calling. But the overall offense gets a D, man. It was a bad, bad effort. I'm sorry. It was just bad. Moving on to the defense. Look, I incorporate and I count J.J. Watt and Nick Herbig, excuse me. I count them as defensive linemen because they're edge rushers. That's their main job. I know from time to time they drop into coverage. Hell, TJ dropped in coverage the first snap of the game. So I understand, but they're edge rushers. And so I incorporate them. But the interior of our defensive line got whipped. Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, Keanu Benton might as well not have even been playing after the first 2 snaps of the game. First 2 snaps, he was fine. After that, he was horrendous. My Travius Adams, no. They got whipped. Physically whipped. So I'm going to give a grade here of a C minus. But the only reason that they get a C minus and not an F is because TJ Watt and Herbig were doing their absolute thing on the outside. They did their thing. And until Herbig got hurt, he was killing the Cowboys. They couldn't block him. You block TJ with, they send 3 guys over there to block him. And even then, that wasn't enough. He was doing his thing in the run game and the pass game. They were both doing it. But the interior line got whipped. Now, I don't want to hear that, Cam Hayward's showing his age. No, he wasn't. That wasn't his age. He just got whipped. And give the Cowboys credit. Their interior line, again, it's Zach Martin, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. No if, ands, or buts. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Tyler Smith is an all-pro at left guard. An all-pro, not a Pro Bowl that they hand out like Skittles. He's an all-pro. And Cooper Beebe is, I'm not saying he's Zach Frazier, but he's right behind him. He's a very good center as a rookie. So they handled everything that we wanted to give them on the inside. So C minus is the grade there. Moving on to linebacker. Okay, I'm gonna try to be nice. Patrick Queen was awful, and Peyton Wilson has a long way to go. Oh, that's the exact same thing I said last week about both of them. Patrick Queen was awful, and Peyton Wilson has a long way to go. Here's what Patrick Queen did in the run game yesterday. He had 3 tackles. What are you talking about, Big B? No, no, no. In the run game, Patrick Queen had 3 tackles. 3. And oh, by the way, he also missed 28% of his opportunities in the run game. That's what Patrick Queen did. I, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. That's what our middle linebacker is doing. Now, is he playing awful? Yeah. Is it going to get better? Probably not. I don't think this is his. I don't think this scheme fits him. I don't think it fits him. To funnel a lot of plays to him to make a bunch of tackles, I don't think it fits him. I'll be honest. And we can talk about maybe it was Roquan Smith and he was making those plays. Look, I don't begrudge what Patrick Queen did with the Ravens last year. I don't begrudge him for that because he was making the plays. Maybe you could say, hey, they were running all the stuff and they were letting him free because they were trying to concentrate on Roquan Smith. Okay, but you still got to make the tackles. Well, he ain't making the tackles this year. That's part of the problem. He's terrible in coverage. He's not making the tackles. It's just bad. Look, I don't even expect him to be on the Steelers next year. I know people are like, what are you talking about? He's signing a big time deal. Yeah, but if you actually take a look at the contract, it's a lot of money up front. He's basically on a 1-year prove it type of deal. There's not a lot of guaranteed money on the next 2 years. So if he doesn't turn it around, he won't be here. And it is what it is. That don't help us this year, but it just is what it is. He's not a fit in this scheme, and I think it's proven out to be that. We're going to have to go back in the draft and get somebody. But it is what it is. Elandon Roberts, look, they schemed us yesterday, and Elandon Roberts didn't get a ton of snaps. He kind of made his presence felt, though, didn't he, on the goal line? But they schemed us, got into a lot more nickel than what we wanted to be in, especially late in the game, and then they just ran the football, and we couldn't stop them. We just couldn't stop them. So the linebacker room gets an F. Period. End of story. They get an F. Defensive backs. Let's see. I know they got 2 picks that help their cause, but if we're really being honest, even on Joey Porter Jr.'s interception, while he ran it down, that was a complete overthrow by Dak Prescott. So they were kind of interceptions, especially Dante Jackson's. Lord have mercy. I mean, he just threw it right to him. I mean, I don't even know who he was throwing the football to because that wasn't. I mean, it was in CeeDee Lamb's direction in his vicinity, but that wasn't to him. It was just an awful, awful throw. But having said that, we weren't good. I mean, he threw for over 350 yards. We weren't good. And I don't care. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Dante Jackson wasn't good. Deshaun Elliott wasn't good. Somebody tried to convince me that Deshaun Elliott, he was right there at the end of the game on that touchdown pass. I'm like, they were passing off coverage. Deshaun Elliott was over there. His man goes away. You're passing off coverage. Use your eyes. See what's coming your way. He didn't trust him. He didn't use his eyes. He hesitated. It's the National Football League, people. All it takes is for you to hesitate. He hesitated. The guy got open. Wasn't by much, but it doesn't have to be by much. And that was the ball game. I'm just saying he wasn't good yesterday. Minka is slipping. I'm not saying he's a bad football player. I'm not saying that we still can't use him, but it's obvious that he is slipping. And I said it yesterday on the post game. If you could split Minka's salary right now and go pay an offensive guard or an offensive tackle or somebody on the offensive side of the football, anybody, you would do it right this very second. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I know we love Minka. I love him too, but we got to be honest about what we're seeing out on the field. And maybe some of it is the Steelers are consistently in this zone coverage versus playing man. We got 2-man corners out there, and we just love to play Tampa 2 zone and all this zone coverage. It's mind-boggling why they continuously do that, but that's part of the coaching. But you still got to cover guys. You still got to cover guys. DB room gets a C minus, man. They get a C minus. Overall, look, the Dallas Cowboys couldn't run the football on anybody all year. Nobody. The longest run that they had was 12 yards. That was by CD Lamb coming into the game. The longest run by a running back they had all season long was 10 yards by one guy. And then they run right through us yesterday. Now, I'm not saying they ran for a million yards. They didn't. But when they wanted to run the football, they did. And we couldn't stop it. That's the problem. When they wanted to run it, they ran it. We couldn't stop it. They got us on our heels. They had defense on their heels all game. And like I said, as bad as Justin Fields was yesterday, and he wasn't great, as bad as the offense was yesterday, it wasn't great. They still gave the defense the lead with under 5 minutes to go in the game. And the defense couldn't hold it. They could not hold it. So as an effort, as a unit, the defense gets an absolute D. That was a terrible, terrible performance. And look, we just got to start calling things for what they are and just being honest. Being honest doesn't mean that you're bad mouthing the Steelers. It just means we're talking and saying what we see. And that's just what it is right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're just in a bad way. Doesn't mean it's got to stay this way. But one thing I know, nothing's going to change unless you make a change. We'll see if Mike Tomlin does that. Speaking of that, special teams, look, the special teams kind of were what they were. We know Boswell's good. Punter was fine. The problem is I give the special teams a C, and the reason I do is because punt protection kept giving up too much pressure, causing bad punts. You know, you can't blame that on the punter when he's trying to avoid guys to punt a football that's going to get blocked. That's not his fault. You know, that's not his fault. So even the special teams, which had been really good all year, not good yesterday, I give it a C. And then the coaching, look, the conservative play calling, the lack of, we continuously start slow. And Mike Tomlin keeps passing it off as penalties. And, well, okay, fine. It's penalties. How about we stop committing the penalties? You know, we can do that. It's self-inflicted wounds is what he keeps saying. Well, at what point do you stop letting these guys and hold them accountable for these self-inflicted wounds? When do you do that? I understand that the team is beat up. I get it. And they are. They got a ton of injuries. But so do other teams too, man. We're not the only team that has a ton of injuries. The Dallas Cowboys were without their two best defenders last night. And the Steelers still couldn't run the football, and they couldn't stop the run from anybody running the football on them all year when those guys were in the game, and yet we couldn't run it. And then they hadn't been able to run it on anybody. They ran it whenever they wanted to against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was just an out-and-out bad effort. Again, the conservative play calling on offense, absolutely atrocious. I have no idea what their identity is or what the game plan is. You want to run the ball, but you can't. You want to throw it when you want to throw it, but the receivers don't get enough separation. There's no imagination on offense at all. I told you I would never bring up Matt Canada's name again, but damn it, does it look any different? Let's just be honest. Does it look any different? We want to be a power run team. We had a fullback on our roster. Instead, we elect to have Connor Hayward be that fullback as an H-back. It's that kind of stuff. And those kind of decisions is what I'm talking about. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know where they're going. Things have to change immediately. The coaching staff gets a big F. They were terrible again. And for things to change, they're going to have to make a change. And if they decide to go with Russell Wilson this week and say that he's the change, I'm going to feel bad for Justin Fields because this is not his fault. It's not. Yeah, he didn't have a good game yesterday. He didn't. But he still gave him a chance to win as bad as he played, and you can't blame it all on him. You just can't. So we'll find out coming up. Something's got to give. Something has got to give for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I appreciate everybody, man. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Make sure you check out the All 22 report that's coming out tomorrow. It'll be out. Make sure you do and continue to like, follow, subscribe, and leave those comments and hit that notification bell so you know exactly when Steelers Almighty content comes out. Appreciate you guys. Aloha.